All right, what are you guys looking at? What are you looking at? Look at what's in here. What are you guys looking at? What are you looking at? Welcome to another episode of Airgun Detectives. I'm your host, JC, and today we get to take the mystery out of the Air Venturi Avenger. This is a regulated PCP rifle, and this one happens to be in .25 caliber. But before we get started, a couple things. One, it's a message to YouTube. This is an air gun. Airgun Detectives does not review firearms, only air guns. Just so you know. Anyway, let's move on to the rest of the business. See the subscribe button down there? If you hadn't subscribed, do me a favor and subscribe. It does not cost you anything. It's absolutely free, but it really helps the channel. And also, when you have an opportunity, check out my website at www.airgundetectives.com. We got some cool t-shirts. I got hats coming real soon. I've got the Generation 2 bipods. We have those out now. And we also list some of our, well, I should say some of my personal collection. My inventory is getting large, so I put a few of those guns out at a time, air guns that is, out on my website. So check that out. I just put a handful out there recently. I know a few of them are already gone, but check that out. All right, let's get back to the Air Avenger PCP here. First of all, I want to thank Mike Millick of Flying Dragon Air Guns. Mike, who's a friend of mine, provided us this gun. He let me borrow it. I'm going to send it back to him when we're done. But if it wasn't for someone like that, it would limit what we get a review. So this is fantastic. Anyway, this one's in .25 caliber. This is a pre-charged pneumatic. I'm going to tell you that again. It is a side cocking lever. You look at that, nice big side cocking lever. This one is the synthetic stock. It has an external adjustable regulator, and you can regulate it up to 3,000 psi, or you can lower it. It's got a hammer spring adjustment right here in the back. The maximum fill pressure on this is 300 bar, which is about 4350 psi. It has a 180 cc air cylinder, fully shrouded barrel. It does have dual gauges. It's got a gauge on the right-hand side. This is for your regulation, your regulated air, so how much air is actually released every time you fire it. And then on the left-hand side, that's your tank pressure. That's going to be your actual tank pressure. So you have a manual safety here, right here. This gun can be decocked. Let me demonstrate that for you real quick. So you cock the gun here, just hold pressure back on it. You can release, put safety forward, obviously. Release the trigger and just slide it forward. That's all there is to it, not much. So you do have a manual safety, which is nice. This does not come with a scope. It's an aftermarket scope, but it does have the 11mm / Weaver scope mount. So whatever type of mount you want to use, it'll access both of them. This does come with 2 of these 8-shot magazines. There's an 8-shot magazine with a .25 caliber. If you choose 22 or 177, those come with 10-shot magazines. So you get 2 of those. And what's also nice is you get the single-shot tray. That's nice they provide that. The trigger is adjustable. It's a 2-stage trigger. It's fully adjustable. They claim the gun shoots 900 feet per second with a 25 grain pellet. And you get about 24 shots, which would be 3 full magazine per fill. And they're claiming you get 45 foot-pounds of energy. The gun itself is pretty light, weighs about 6 pounds. It's the whole overall length is 42 3/4, and the barrel itself is about 22 3/4, the actual barrel. And it is shrouded, which is nice. You get a lot in this package. There really is a lot going on here. It does have the Picatinny rail. It does not come with the bipods. These are just a little set that I had laying around, but it's nice when you have the little Picatinny rail. It's great for displaying, and not to mention it's really good for shooting. Anyway, this gun offers a lot, and this is about without the scope. Obviously, it doesn't come with a scope, but it's about that $350 range with the synthetic stock here. So you get it. They pack a lot in here, but the question is, how well does it perform? I mean, is it worth the money? Let's find out. Let's take it through our usual test, and then when we're all done, we'll come back and talk about it. So stay tuned for the next segment. All right, let's see how well our Avenger 25 caliber does over the Crony. 25 caliber, just so you guys know, these are really designed for hunting. They really are, not for plinking. So what I did is I made sure the regulator was set as high as it'll go, and we're at a full charge. So we're going to get the most foot-pounds of energy and velocity that you can out of this rifle. But that's what the 25 caliber 4 does. It puts out some good amount of air and gives you some decent velocity. But let's show you on camera. But what I'm going to do is, after I show you the 5 shots and we average that out, I'm going to show you how well it did with 3 other pellets. Okay, so we're going to start with the 28 grain slugs, hollow point. Okay, these are by H&N. So let's shoot 5 shots over the Crony, see how well we do. All right, shot number 1. That's 893. Shot number 2. 897. Shot number 3. 899. Shot number 4. 899. Now regulator's working. And last shot. 898. Yes, that definitely is working as far as the regulator goes. Look at that low standard deviation. Okay, there's your average feet per second with the 28 grain slugs and your foot-pounds of energy. Okay, how well did it do with just some field target trophies? I did some 25 caliber. They're just a 20 grain pellet. We averaged 1,033 feet per second, and that's about 47.4 foot-pounds of energy. So we also did these slugs come in various weights. They come in a 28 grain, they come in a 30 grain, and a 32 grain. So our 30 grain, how well did they do? We averaged 872 feet per second. Okay, and that was with, I said, the 30 grain pellet, and that gave us 50.67 foot-pounds of energy, so just a little over 50 foot-pounds of energy. And then we also did the 32 grain slugs. Those averaged 853 feet per second, and we ended up with 51.7 foot-pounds of energy, just under 52 foot-pounds of energy. So this definitely is a hunting rifle. There's no question about that. All right, let's move on to the next segment. All right, I'm going to test our Avenger here, 25 caliber, for some accuracy. If you notice, I'm not doing 20 yards. I'm actually a little over 40 yards, just under 45. It's right at 43 yards. I have to set this up on the side of my house to get the right distance, and I move the cart way out there. Go ahead, take a quick look. Oh, also, I want to thank Splatterburst for supplying these targets for us. They really make a big difference, especially when you're shooting distance like this. It really highlights your impact points. So we're actually using these little 4-inch targets at this distance. So I know on screen it looks like it's a big target, but it's actually a little 4-inch target. So I'll leave a link below for these. We'll go from there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and shoot 5 shots. We're going to shoot the slug hollow points at 28 grains. Shoot 5 shots. Remember, we're going to go for grouping. But these H&N slugs, all these weights work really well in this gun. And you see the foot-pounds of energy we get out of it. So let's shoot 5 shots. See how well we do. I got some palm trees blowing in my way, so hopefully they won't hit one of my rounds. And some wind. That's one. I'm waiting for this palm leaf to get out of my way. It's blowing right in front of me. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. Do one more. And that's 5. That is a heck of a group if you think about it. We're well over 40 yards. I got wind in my back. It's moving palm leaves back and forth in front of the target, and I'm shooting around the leaves. So yeah, I'd say we did pretty well on that. So let's move on to our next segment. All right, let's test our Avenger here. Trigger for some pull weight. See how well it does. There's quite a few adjustments on this trigger. I pretty much left it stock out of the box. Haven't messed with it. So let's just see how well it does. Okay, we have our trusty Lyman trigger gauge here. Let's get a reading here. All right. £2, 1 ounce, 1.3 ounces. Actually 2 pounds, 1.3 ounces. And I said it's fully adjustable, so I'm sure you can tweak it even more. And there's some potential you could polish this up, do a few things with it, I'm sure. All right, let's move on to the next segment. All right, as you guys know, my favorite portion of any review video is the plinking portion. And no exception, even though we saw how accurate this was at 40 plus yards, it's still fun to see what the raw power out of the gun is. So go ahead and take a look. We're going to be shooting about 40 yards out, and we've got a bottle there. We've got steel pig, couple of legs, couple of shotgun shells. Let's see how well we do on this. I'll be honest with you guys. I went through this routine just before this, shot everything, didn't have one miss. Get up there, battery died on the camera. Unbelievable. So we get to do it again. But then again, I get to shoot again, so it's not that bad of a thing. All right, we're going to shoot our same 28 grain pellets, and let's just see how we do. All right, yeah, we're shooting the H&N, the slug hollow points. All right, the big bottle's going first. Yeah, I'd say that's got some power there. That disintegrated that. All right, the pig. God, that hits hard. Okay, the egg. The next egg. Let's see if we can get that shotgun shell in the end. I'd say that's a hit. Not too shabby. This does have some raw power, that's for sure. All right, let's wrap this up. All right, let's wrap this up with our conclusion here. All I have to say is, wow, this thing did really excellent. It basically, to me, it exceeded the manufacturer's claims, that's for sure. A couple things I didn't cover, and I should cover those for you. Show you how to put the single shot tray in. So if you cock the rifle back, you'll notice, excuse me 1 second. Yes, now I can see. Okay, you can see this is your 25 caliber shot tray. There's a notch in the front of it, clearly see that. And the barrel, you can see it protrudes slightly in the breech. So all you do is you line this up over the top and drop it down. It's that simple. There you go. In. There's a little magnet that holds it towards the front, so you can see that. And there's your single shot tray, so you can just, if you want to just shoot single shots, you can. And other than that, this is your typical magazine. These where you rotate the magazine all the way around. You drop your first pellet in, it holds the tension on the magazine, and then you just move and drop the rest of yours in. Real simple. And then it just slides. You see there's a groove right here on the back. Same thing. This is going to go around the barrel that protrudes out into the breech. And you just slide that in until it clicks, and then it's locked in. That's it. Let's decock this. Okay, actually, the good thing about this magazine, I forgot to cover this. I'm glad I just did this. When you run out of rounds, you will not be able to move the bolt forward. It actually blocks the bolt from going through, if you see this. So that's kind of a neat feature. So you're saving air, you're not dry firing. Not that it would hurt the gun, but you're just wasting valuable air. All right, so let's get down to business now. Like anything else, we have to talk about the negatives. And I have one huge pet peeve with this, and you guys can probably guess. Go ahead, guess. It is this, and I'm going to say cheap plastic stock. This is horrific. It's hollow. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but it's so hollow. you can see the molding seam on it. This thing even creaks. You can twist it and you can hear it creak. I cannot believe for the life of me why this manufacturer would have used this stock. It's indefensible. This should be on a toy gun, and it's not just me. I had about a half a dozen friends come by, airgun detective family, what have you, and I had this in the box and I said, open it up, pull that out, and tell me what you think of it. Every one of them said, oh my God, this stock, it's horrific, it's so cheap. And it is. In fact, Air Venturi must have figured that out, because guess what? They're offering this in a wood stock now, and in addition to that, for 120 bucks, you can actually buy the wood stock. So if you have one of these plastic stocks, and I know some of you out there, you've painted them, you've done all the other stuff, but every time you pick this thing up, to me, it's just a reminder. It feels cheap. It really does. And I'm not pulling punches on this one. Not at all. In fact, what they should do is everybody that bought one of these, you should be able to prove that you purchased one, and they should give you the wood stock at a massive discount. That's just my opinion. My number 2 complaint out of the box, the trigger was a little gritty, but I'm not gonna ding it for that, because a lot of them are. This potentially, it can be polished and adjusted, and I have no doubt it can be set up. So that's my huge negative, and it is a negative, because every time I look at it, I'm thinking cheap stock. Let's talk about the positives. I like to be positive here. This is a great PCP rifle. It really is. Especially if it had a wood stock, it'd be fantastic. For the money that you're paying for this is in that $350 range. You bump it up to the wood stock, you're like a $450, but believe me, it would be worth it. Anyway, let's move on from that. This is regulated, and you can adjust the regulation out of it. And what you have to do is you got to degas it, get the air out of it, and then you can reset the regulator to the stock setting. Then you fill it up again, and then you adjust it to your setting, however you like that. But anyway, out of the box, just to cover this, mine was set at just over 3,000 PSI, the regular. I didn't mess with it. I did not adjust it. First of all, I'm borrowing this gun, so I don't want to mess with the settings for the most part. But I wanted to show you guys what the maximum power could be out of this. Because let's face it, a 25 caliber, that's pretty much designed for hunting. You're not going to plink a lot with that. You have a limited selection of pellets, and they're not that cheap. Okay, so, and you're not going to get a whole lot of shots because you're shooting a heavier pellet, so you want that regulation to be up there a little bit. But I wanted to see what type of power we can get. Anyway, we'll cover that in a second, but I love the fact that you can regulate this. That's terrific. And then I like the fact you can adjust the hammer spring. As easy as putting the provided Allen wrench in the back here, and you can crank it down to create more pressure, or you can back it off. I love the fact it comes with 2 magazines and a single shot tray. That's great, because a lot of them, you know, in this day and age, you'll only get one. I also like the fact that this came with a barrel band. I mean, think about that. That's usually our number 1 complaint. I mean, this thing is really, this is set up to hunt. I'm telling you, it has a barrel band. And what else is really nice, got to cover this. I've complained before where you have these Foster fittings, they have poor covers on them or they're not covered at all. This one actually has a threaded cover, and you get to thread it down on there, which they thought of a lot on this gun. They really did. So, what else? This thing was really accurate. I mean, it really was. It loved these H&N slugs, and it's funny, the last couple of PCPs I have just absolutely loved these slugs. And I said we had the 28 grain, the 30 grain, and the 32 grain, and it did well with every one of them. But the accuracy, remember in that wind, we shot well over 40 yards, and we got less than 1/3 of an inch group. I mean, that's fantastic. And power, let's talk about power. We were getting 51 foot-pounds of energy. That is a true hunter, it really is. Now the manufacturer says you'll get 3 magazines or 24 shots, and the max you'll get is 45 foot-pounds of energy. Well, we definitely exceeded that. And maybe it had to do with this thing was slightly adjusted. I hope we don't get blown away here. There's a lot of wind going through here right now. Anyway, maybe because the regulator was adjusted slightly above the 3,000 level. But regardless, that's how it came. But look, we got 30 really good shots, and I charted this out for you. So check out the chart here. So, and this regulator was working. What a low standard deviation. That was amazing. So I went and shot straight through from a full fill all the way down to about 2,800 PSI, and I got 30 really good, consistent shots. And I didn't use my slugs to test it. I just used a 20 grain because I wanted to save the slugs. I don't have a whole lot of those, but you get the idea. There's the chart. We charted it out, and that's your performance. So this thing performed really, really well. I mean, getting 30 shots out of it, that's fantastic. So the regulator works well. And again, I'm going to mention that low standard deviation. That was fantastic. How would I rate this rifle overall? I mean, the performance was outstanding, but I have to rate the rifle the way it came. And honestly, this stock, this is like having a Porsche motor, a built Porsche motor, turbocharged, fantastic, and dropping it into an old rusty VW Bug. It just kind of ruins it. But with that, yeah, I can't defend this stock. With that, I'm giving the rifle 4 stars. If it was a wood stock, we'd have a different conversation here. But the way this is, I'm serious. I can't believe this manufacturer should be embarrassed to put this stock out. It really should. I just, I can't. Can you hear how hollow this thing is? Not good. But anyway, performance-wise, fantastic rifle. Hey, I want to thank Mike Millick again for letting us borrow this rifle and letting us be able to review that. And I don't know if you guys know that, but Mike Millick at Flying Dragon Air Guns, he can get all kinds of Air Venturi products. He gets the Beemans, the HWs. I mean, there's so many rifles he can get you. And if you end up getting a break barrel or an underlever, he tunes that for you at no additional charge. So he'll give you a reasonable price on it and then provides a tune. If you guys don't know, a full tune, that's a minimum of a $100 fee is what people charge for that. And yeah, and it can, some of these guns can be a pain in the ass to do that. Anyway, I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Don't forget, check out my website, www.airgundetectives.com. We got some cool stuff over there. And with that, again, I appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget, it's where we take the mystery out of the air gun. And until next time, take care and God bless.